Picture this. It's Monday morning, your alarm is screaming like it's auditioning for a horror movie, and you're already dreading the inbox avalanche waiting for you at work. You drag yourself out of bed, chug a coffee that tastes like regret, and think, if I could just get through this week, I'll be happy. Sound familiar? Or maybe it's not work. Maybe it's the moment you scroll through Instagram, see someone's picture-perfect vacation, and feel a pang of, why isn't my life that shiny? We've all been there, chasing happiness like it's a runaway dog, always just out of reach. But why? Why do we spend our lives running after this elusive thing called happiness, only to feel like we're sprinting on a treadmill, exhausted, sweaty, and still in the same spot? Welcome to Emorations, where we dive deep into the messy, beautiful, sometimes absurd puzzle of human emotions. Today we're tackling a big one, the psychology of happiness, why we chase it, and how to find it. This isn't your average 10 tips to be happy clickbait. No, we're going on a journey, a wild, introspective ride through history, philosophy, psychology, and the awkward moments of everyday life. We'll explore why humans are wired to hunt for happiness, how our brains trick us into chasing the wrong things, and, most importantly, how we can actually find it. Not in some far-off utopia, but right here, in the chaos of our daily lives. So, grab a snack, mute your notifications, and let's get into it. Why do we chase happiness? Why does it feel like a cosmic game of hide and seek? And how do we stop running and start living it? By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the psychology behind our obsession with happiness, but also walk away with practical ways to cultivate it in your own life. And who knows, you might even laugh a little along the way. If that sounds like a plan, hit that subscribe button, join the Emorations tribe, and let's dive in. Let's start with a scene from my own life, because trust me, I'm no stranger to the happiness chase. A few years ago, I was at a coffee shop, waiting for my overpriced latte, when I overheard a conversation that stopped me cold. Two friends were talking, and one said, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion, then I can finally relax." The other nodded, sipping her drink, and said, "Yeah, I'm waiting for my wedding day. That's when life will feel complete." I stood there, foam dripping from my cup, thinking, wait, are we all just putting happiness on layaway? This is what I call the happiness paradox. We tell ourselves happiness is just around the corner, after the next paycheck, the next relationship, the next vacation. But when we get there, the goalpost moves. You get the promotion, and suddenly you're stressed about keeping it. You get married, and now you're worried about mortgages or in-laws. It's like we're all playing a game of just one more thing, and happiness is the prize we never quite win.
But here's the kicker. This isn't new. Humans have been chasing happiness since we were hunting mammoths and painting caves. The ancient Greeks had a word for it, eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but more accurately meaning flourishing or living well. Aristotle, one of the OGs of philosophy, said in his Nicomachean Ethics that happiness isn't a feeling you stumble into, it's a state of being, achieved through a life of virtue and purpose. Sounds great, right? But then you read Aristotle's fine print. It takes effort, self-reflection, and a whole lot of discipline. Not exactly the buy a yacht, be happy vibe we're sold today. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the chase has only gotten wilder. Social media bombards us with curated lives, people posing with their avocado toast or their six-pack abs, screaming, "This is happiness, and you're missing it." Meanwhile, science tells us something else. Studies, like those from psychologist Sonia Lyubomirsky, show that only about 10% of our happiness comes from external circumstances, money, status, or that perfect Instagram filter. A whopping 50% is tied to our genetics, and the other 40%, that's up to our choices, our mindset, our habits. So why do we keep chasing the 10% like it's the Holy Grail? Let's dig deeper. To understand why we're so bad at finding happiness, we need to go back, way back, to the wiring of our brains and the stories we've told ourselves for millennia. Imagine you're a caveman. Life's simple but brutal. Your day involves dodging saber-toothed cats, scrounging for berries, and hoping your neighbor doesn't steal your favorite spear. Your brain, wired for survival, is obsessed with three things: staying alive, finding food, and passing on your genes. Happiness? Not on the menu. Your brain doesn't care if you're happy, it cares if you're safe. And here's where it gets interesting. That same brain, built for survival, is still running the show today. Evolutionary psychologists like David Buss argue that our brains are wired for discontent. Why? Because discontent kept our ancestors moving. If you were perfectly happy sitting in a cave with a half-eaten apple, you'd never bother hunting for more food or finding a better shelter. Your brain evolved to notice threats, compare yourself to others, and crave more resources, more status, more security. It's why even now you can have a fridge full of food and still feel like your life is missing something. This is what I call the evolutionary trap. Our brains are stuck in survival mode, always scanning for what's wrong, what's missing, what could be better. It's why you can have a great day, sun shining, you nailed a presentation, your dog didn't chew your shoes, and still lie awake at night thinking, is this all there is? Our ancestors needed that restlessness to survive. But in a world of Wi-Fi and DoorDash, it's like we're running a prehistoric operating system on a modern smartphone. It glitches. Let's bring in a philosopher to shake things up. Epicurus, the ancient Greek hedonist, don't worry, not the party all night kind, had a radical take on happiness. He said it's not about chasing pleasure, but about avoiding pain. Not physical pain, but the mental anguish of wanting what you don't have. Epicurus was like, yo, stop dreaming of a bigger house or a fancier chariot. Find joy in what's already yours, a loaf of bread, good friends, a quiet mind. Sounds simple, but try telling that to your brain when it's scrolling through TikTok, drooling over someone's private jet.
Here's a modern spin to make Epicurus relatable. A few months ago, I was at a friend's barbecue and everyone was laughing, eating burgers and tossing a frisbee. It was one of those moments where everything felt right. But then I checked my phone, saw a post about someone's new Tesla, and suddenly my perfectly good hatchback felt like a horse-drawn cart. That's the evolutionary trap in action. My brain, wired to compare and compete, yanked me out of a happy moment and into a spiral of I need more. Epicurus would have slapped the phone out of my hand and said, "Focus on the burger, dude." So, if our brains are wired to chase an unreachable goal, are we doomed? Not quite. The good news is we're not cavemen anymore. We have tools, philosophy, psychology, and a little thing called self-awareness that can help us hack our wiring. But first we need to talk about the biggest happiness thief of all, the stories we tell ourselves. Let's get personal for a second. Growing up, I thought happiness was a destination, like a tropical island you'd eventually sail to if you worked hard enough. My parents, bless their hearts, drilled this into me. Get good grades, go to college, get a job, and then you'll be happy. It was like happiness was a reward for checking all the boxes. So I checked them. I studied, I hustled, I landed a job, but when I got there, it was like showing up to a party only to find out it was cancelled. Happiness wasn't waiting for me with a piña colada. It was just more boxes to check. This is where the stories we tell ourselves come in. We're not just chasing happiness, we're chasing narratives about what happiness is supposed to look like. And those narratives, they're shaped by culture, media, even the people around us. Think about it. Every rom-com tells you happiness is finding the one. Every ad tells you it's buying the right car or the right skincare routine. Even your nosy aunt at Thanksgiving is like, when are you settling down? That's when you'll really be happy. But these stories aren't just harmless cliches, they're traps. They keep us chasing external markers of success, convincing us that happiness is something we earn rather than something we create. And here's where philosophy swoops in to save the day. Let's talk about Jean-Paul Sartre,
the French existentialist who smoked too many cigarettes and thought too much about life. Sartre said, "Man is condemned to be free." Sounds dramatic, right? But what he meant is that we're free to create our own meaning, our own happiness, but that freedom comes with responsibility. You can't blame society, your parents, or Instagram for your unhappiness. You have to write your own story.
Let's break this down with a real-life example. Meet Sarah, a friend of mine who's a textbook overachiever. She's got a corner office, a wardrobe that could star in a fashion magazine, and a LinkedIn profile that screams, "I've made it." But last year, she called me in tears. "I did everything right," she said. "Why do I feel so empty?" Sarah was living the story society sold her. Climb the ladder, buy the nice things, post the highlight reel. But deep down, she wanted something else. Time to paint, to travel, to just be. She was chasing someone else's version of happiness, not her own. Sartre would have told Sarah to rewrite her story. Stop chasing the script of success and start asking, what makes me feel alive? That's the existentialist flex, taking responsibility for your own happiness even when it means defying the world's expectations. It's scary, sure, but it's also liberating. So how do we start rewriting our stories? That's where psychology comes in, and it's time to meet one of the heavyweights, Viktor Frankl. If you haven't heard of Viktor Frankl, buckle up, because this guy's story will blow your mind. Frankl was a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, a book that's basically a masterclass in finding happiness in the worst possible circumstances. During his time in Nazi concentration camps, Frankl faced unimaginable horror, starvation, brutality, the loss of his family. Yet he noticed something incredible. The prisoners who survived weren't always the strongest or healthiest. They were the ones who found meaning, a reason to keep going, whether it was love, faith, or the hope of helping others. Frankl's big idea is this: happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you discover through meaning. He said, happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. In other words, stop running after it like it's a Black Friday deal. Focus on what matters to you, your purpose, your values, your connections, and happiness will sneak up on you like a cat that finally decides you're worth cuddling. Let's make this real. A couple of years ago, I was stuck in a job I hated. The pay was decent, the office had free snacks, but every day felt like wading through molasses. I kept telling myself, just stick it out, you'll be happy when you get that raise. Spoiler, the raise came and I was still miserable. Then I stumbled across Frankl's book and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I wasn't unhappy because of my job, I was unhappy because my life lacked meaning. I was just going through the motions, checking boxes, not building anything that felt true to me. So I started small. I volunteered at a local animal shelter, something I'd always loved but never made time for. I spent weekends covered in dog hair, cleaning kennels and playing fetch with pups who'd been abandoned. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave me a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. And you know what? Happiness started creeping in. Not as a big flashy moment, but as quiet moments of connection, like when a shy rescue dog finally wagged its tail for me.
Frankl's wisdom isn't just for extreme situations like concentration camps, it's for the daily grind too. Whether you're stuck in a soul-sucking job, navigating a breakup, or just feeling lost, finding meaning can be your lifeline. Maybe it's helping a friend, creating art, or even just tending to a tiny herb garden on your windowsill. Meaning doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be yours. But here's the catch, finding meaning isn't always easy. It requires facing some uncomfortable truths about ourselves. And that's where we need to talk about the shadow, the part of us we'd rather ignore. All right, let's get a little spooky. Carl Jung,
the Swiss psychologist who gave us the concept of the shadow, said that we all have a hidden side, a collection of fears, insecurities, and desires we shove into the basement of our minds. The shadow isn't evil, it's just the stuff we don't want to admit about ourselves. Maybe it's jealousy, anger, or the nagging fear that we're not good enough. The problem? When we ignore the shadow, it doesn't go away, it festers, and it can sabotage our happiness without us even realizing it. Here's a story to bring this home. My cousin Mike is the life of the party, always cracking jokes, always surrounded by friends. But one night, after a few too many beers, he confessed something. "I'm terrified everyone's going to figure out I'm a fraud." Mike's shadow was his fear of being found out, of not being as confident or successful as he seemed. He spent so much energy hiding it, posting perfect selfies, chasing promotions, that he was exhausted. His pursuit of happiness was actually a pursuit of approval, driven by a shadow he hadn't faced. Jung would say Mike's story is universal. We all have shadows, and they shape how we chase happiness. Maybe you chase relationships to avoid loneliness. Maybe you hoard achievements to silence self-doubt. The shadow whispers, "You're not enough," and we run faster, buy more, post more, hoping to drown it out. But here's the twist. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's a part of you, and facing it can be a game changer. Jung's advice? Integrate the shadow. That means looking at your fears and insecurities with honesty, not judgment. For Mike, it meant admitting he didn't have to be the loudest guy in the room to be loved. He started therapy, began journaling, and slowly let himself be vulnerable with friends. And you know what? He didn't just find happiness, he found peace, which is happiness's quieter, wiser cousin. So, how do we face our shadows? It starts with self-reflection. Try this. The next time you're upset, say you're fuming because someone cut you off in traffic, pause and ask, "Why is this hitting me so hard?" Maybe it's not about the other driver. Maybe it's about feeling disrespected or powerless in other parts of your life. That's your shadow talking. Listen to it, learn from it, and you'll start to see happiness not as something to chase, but as something you're already holding.
If the shadow is the internal thief of happiness, society is the external one. We live in a world that's designed to make us feel like we're never enough. Ads tell us we need whiter teeth, bigger houses, faster cars. Social media shows us lives that look happier, richer, better. Even our well-meaning friends and family push us toward milestones, marriage, kids, a corner office that might not even align with our true desires. It's like we're all cogs in a giant happiness machine, churning out comparison, competition, and discontent. Let's bring in another philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. This guy was intense. Think of him as the rock star of 19th century philosophy. Nietzsche warned against what he called the herd mentality, the tendency to follow society's rules without questioning them. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he urged people to become their own creators, to define their own values instead of swallowing the ones fed to them. For Nietzsche, happiness wasn't about fitting in, it was about standing out, embracing your unique path, even if it made you the oddball at the family reunion. Here's a modern example. My friend Lisa was the queen of people-pleasing. She said yes to everything, work projects, family dinners, even helping her neighbor move a couch on her only day off. She thought being nice would make her happy, but she was burned out, resentful, and miserable. One day, she read about Nietzsche's idea of living authentically, and it clicked. She started saying no to things that didn't spark joy. Sorry, Marie Kondo. She quit her draining job, started a small baking business, and get this, found happiness in flour-dusted aprons and early morning dough kneading. Lisa didn't just find happiness, she created it by breaking free from the happiness machine. The lesson? Society's script isn't your script. Happiness comes from questioning the shoulds and crafting a life that feels true to you. That might mean choosing a quiet life over a flashy one, or chasing a dream that nobody else gets. It's not easy. Nietzsche warned it would be a lonely road, but it's worth it. Now, let's get nerdy for a minute. Psychology has spent decades studying happiness, and the findings are both surprising and practical. One of the biggest discoveries comes from positive psychology, pioneered by folks like Martin Seligman. Seligman says happiness isn't just about feeling good, it's about living good. His PERMA model breaks it down into 5 pillars: positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. Let's unpack these with some real-world flavor.
First, positive emotions. This one's obvious. Think joy, gratitude, hope. But here's the trick. You don't need a perfect life to feel these. Studies show that small acts, like writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day, can boost your mood over time. I tried this last month, and let me tell you, being grateful for my dog's goofy smile and a perfectly ripe avocado felt weirdly life-changing. Engagement is about flow, that state where you're so absorbed in something, time disappears. For me, it's writing these scripts. For you, it might be painting, coding, or even organizing your spice rack. No judgment. Find what lights you up and make time for it. Relationships are huge. Humans are social creatures, and strong connections are a happiness superpower. A 75-year Harvard study found that close relationships are the single biggest predictor of long-term happiness. So, call your best friend, hug your mum, or just chat with the barista who knows your order by heart. Meaning, we've already touched on with Frankl. It's about finding purpose, whether it's through work, volunteering, or just being kind. And accomplishment, that's about setting goals and crushing them, even if it's just running a 5K or finally cleaning out your garage. Here's a quick story to tie this together. My neighbor Tom is a retired mechanic who started teaching free car repair classes at the community center. He's not rich, he's not famous, but he's happy. Why? Because his classes hit all 5 PERMA pillars. He loves teaching, positive emotions. He gets lost in fixing engines, engagement. He's built a tight-knit group of students, relationships. He feels like he's making a difference, meaning, and he's proud of helping people save money, accomplishment. Tom isn't chasing happiness, he's living it. The science backs this up. Happiness is less about what you have and more about what you do. So how do we put this into practice? That's where we're headed next. If happiness is about choices, not circumstances, then the good news is we have power. The bad news, it takes work. Breaking the cycle of chasing happiness means rewiring our habits, rethinking our stories, and facing our shadows. Here are some practical steps, sprinkled with a little storytelling to keep it real.
Step 1. Pause and reflect. The next time you're chasing something, a new job, a new relationship, a new pair of sneakers, ask yourself, why do I want this? Is it because it aligns with your values, or because you're trying to fill a void? I learned this the hard way when I bought a fancy watch, thinking it would make me feel successful. Spoiler, it just made me paranoid about scratching it. Reflection helps you separate what you truly want from what you've been told to want. Step 2. Practice gratitude. I know, it sounds like a Pinterest quote, but science doesn't lie. A 2003 study by Robert Emmons found that people who kept gratitude journals felt happier and less stressed. Try it. Every night, write down 3 things that went well. Even if it's just, I didn't spill coffee on my shirt today. It's like giving your brain a high five. Step 3. Build meaningful connections. Happiness thrives in relationships. Make time for people who lift you up, not drag you down. Last week, I had coffee with an old friend, and we talked for hours about everything and nothing. No agenda, no pressure, just connection. It was like recharging my soul. Step 4. Find your flow. What makes you lose track of time? For my sister, it's gardening. For my coworker, it's playing guitar. Find your thing and protect it like it's a rare Pokemon card. Even 20 minutes a day can make a difference. Step 5. Face your shadow. This one's tough, but crucial. The next time you're jealous, angry, or insecure, don't push it away. Journal about it, talk to a friend, or even see a therapist. I started doing this last year, and let me tell you, admitting I was jealous of my friend's new house was uncomfortable but freeing. It helped me realize I didn't want a bigger house. I wanted more freedom in my life. Step 6. Rewrite your story. Take a page from Sartre and Nietzsche. What's your definition of happiness? Not your parents', not your bosses', not Instagram's. Write it down, make it specific, and start aligning your choices with it. For me, it was realizing happiness wasn't a corner office, but having time to create and connect. These steps aren't a magic wand, but they're a map. And the best part, you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to start. Happiness isn't a destination, it's a practice, built one choice at a time.
So far, we've talked about happiness as a personal journey, but it's not just about you or me. Happiness is contagious, and it thrives in communities that value connection, empathy, and meaning. Unfortunately, our world often pushes the opposite: competition, comparison, division. So, how do we build a happier society? Let's revisit Zygmunt Bauman, the sociologist who warned about the dangers of modernity. In Liquid Modernity, he argued that our fast-paced, consumer-driven world makes it hard to form deep connections. We're also busy chasing the next big thing that we forget to be with each other. The fix? Create spaces for authentic connection, whether it's a book club, a community garden, or just a weekly dinner with friends. These spaces remind us that happiness isn't a solo sport. On a larger scale, we need to challenge the narratives that fuel discontent. That means questioning media that pits us against each other, supporting policies that prioritize well-being over profit, and amplifying voices that promote empathy over division. Imagine a world where schools teach emotional intelligence alongside maths, where workplaces value mental health as much as productivity, where social media rewards kindness instead of outrage. It's not a pipe dream, it's a choice. A quick story to wrap this up. Last summer, my neighborhood started a front yard hangout night. Every Friday, someone hosts a casual gathering, think lawn chairs, lemonade, and kids running around. It's not fancy, but it's changed how we see each other. Instead of waving from a distance, we're sharing stories, laughing, even helping each other through tough times. It's a tiny ripple, but it's proof that small acts of connection can spread happiness like wildfire. So here we are, at the end of our journey through the psychology of happiness. We've traveled from ancient caves to modern smartphones, from Aristotle to Frankl, from our shadows to our stories. And the big takeaway? Happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you build. It's in the small moments of gratitude, the courage to face your fears, the connections you nurture, and the meaning you create. It's not a finish line, it's a way of walking through life. I want to leave you with a challenge. This week, pick one thing from this video. Maybe it's writing a gratitude list, reaching out to a friend, or reflecting on your shadow. Try it, see how it feels, and share your story in the comments. Because here at Emorations, we're not just about ideas, we're about transformation. And if you're ready to dive deeper, check out my ebooks, Finding Your Flow and The Art of Meaning, linked in the pinned comment. They're packed with practical tools to help you build a happier life, one step at a time. If this video resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and join the Emorations community. Let's keep exploring the wild, wonderful world of human emotions together. Until next time, keep chasing meaning, not just happiness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.